ladies and gentlemen, Porshea Wilkins here, and today I want to talk to you guys about blame. Blame is something that all of us have been guilty of doing at some point in time or another. And I was at a friend's house, and she was sharing with me, we were having table talk, how it is, ladies get together, sit across the table from each other, and we're just talking about life and just things that happen. And so she was sharing with me how she had a friend who was in a pickle, a financial pickle. She was in a strain financially, and she called her. And so this friend is on government assistance. My friend is very successful and wealthy. And so the friend called her saying, hey, I need your help. And she said, basically, if I don't get X amount of dollars by today, I'm gonna lose my kids. And so obviously my friend's like, I don't want you to lose your kids. Of course, I'll help you. Of course, I'll support you. And so she went ahead and wired her the money to take care of that. And so a couple of days goes by, and she reaches out to her just to check up on her and see how things are going, and no word from her. She calls again, nothing. So she starts calling around to other friends that know her and say, hey, have you heard from so-and-so? How are they doing? And this friend was actually in jail. She got locked up. And she got locked up because she didn't use the money for what it was initially given to her for. So my friend thought she was helping her take care of what she needed to take care of, so she didn't get in trouble with the law and she didn't lose her kids, when in actuality she used it for something else, to basically beat the system, okay? And so it caught up with her and she got incarcerated for a little while. And so my friend was very hurt and very distraught about this. Number one was because the friend lied to her. She's like, she called me, basically crying about her family, her daughters, her sons, her kids, and needing help. And so I did that out of the kindness of my heart because I'm thinking about her and her family, when in actuality, she played me. She just used me for the money to do something else with it that was unethical. And so the friend, when she got out of jail, talked to her saying, hey, I'm sorry, it happened, da-da-da-da. And she was very nonchalant about it almost. She apologized, but it wasn't genuine. You know how it is when somebody does something to you and it's more so like a forceful apology versus a real one. And so that's what happened. And so my friend was like, well, wait a minute, you lied to me. I thought I was supporting you with this and you went out and did something else. And so the other friend told her, she said, well, you got it. Okay, you got it anyway. It's not like you're hurting for any money, so what difference does it make? And so that really, really took my friend back. It hurt her feelings, and it really upset her, because she's like, first of all, I worked for what I have. Just because I have it, number one, doesn't mean I have it for you. Okay, you asked, and out of the kindness of my heart, I chose to give. I wasn't obligated to give you anything. You could have called somebody else, but I went ahead and did it for you. And she said, second of all, I paid a very, very high price to get what I have today. Nobody wrote me a check. Nobody had to, she didn't have anybody to call or to lean on. She had to get extra roommates to live with her and her husband to help pay their bills. She had to walk around in the hot heat with, her makeup sweating off her face because she doesn't have air conditioning. Y'all know how hot it is in the South. And so she's like, well, I paid a price for this. I didn't just look up into having this. So I honor my money. Because whatever you don't value, you violate. And so she's like, I value my money because I did the work necessary to obtain it. Now, we have the same 24 hours in a day. So if I have the time to go do the work necessary to earn it, so do you. And so the friend was really was rude about it and mean to her and blamed her for her situation. She just started putting the blame on her, like it's your fault because you could have helped me sooner. Why are you acting like this with me now? You got it. Just very disrespectful. So, she got off the phone with her and basically severed ties with her altogether. And come to find out, this friend had a pattern. So when my friend talked to other people that know her, they've experienced the same thing. And so, basically it's an enabling syndrome. A lot of people have that. When you achieve a great deal of success and you have family members or friends who have not, and they ask for something, or you see them struggling with something, sometimes you can feel guilty almost, because you're like, I have so much and they don't have anything. You know, if they ask you for it, do you give it to them? Do you not? You know, and if you're not careful, you can actually enable them. You know, they ask you for it one time, but next thing you know, it comes back again. It comes back again. They keep coming back. And when you finally say no for the first time, all of a sudden you're this evil, mean-spirited person. And so we were talking about blame and how people can get caught up in that. And so I want to talk to you a few things in regards to blame, so you can be aware of it. Number one, recognize it when it's happening to you from other people, but also self-reflect to make sure you're not doing these things as well. So let's take a look at what blame is. There are a few points that happen when you blame. The first one is going to be you actually shun responsibility. And to shun responsibility means you're passing it on to someone else. You're not looking in the mirror, reflecting at yourself, saying, because I did this, I'm the reason why I'm in my situation. No, you want to blame it on somebody else. You want to pass it on to somebody else. The second thing is that you miss the opportunity to improve. You know, all movement is an improvement. So just because you're still going on with your life and you're moving, it doesn't mean you're moving for the better. And so there's an opportunity window there. There's a window of opportunity for you to improve. But the key fact is that it's a window. And every window, just as it can open, it can also close. And so you miss that time for you to improve. Number three is you forfeit the chance to grow. Okay, you forfeit the chance to grow. To forfeit means to just give it up. You know, you instead of growing and becoming better, you just stay where you are. Number four, you constantly look to others to fix something for you. You know, when I think about this, I think about people, I think about the social programs that the government has here in the United States. And there's the welfare system. Now, I'm not against anybody being on welfare, because a lot of it can be a good thing for people, especially if, you know, you are a widow unexpectedly, you know, your spouse passes and you have to take care of the kids, and maybe you were a full-time mom or dad. So now you have to figure out a way to provide for your family, and that's a good thing for you to do temporarily while you find something else. Maybe you just lost your job and you were on unemployment and it ran out, so you've got to find something else. You don't want to get on it, but you need it. And so there's situations whereas welfare is a productive thing. But then there's the other things whereas people use it as a crutch. You know, instead of them turning to themselves and taking ownership of their challenge or their problem, what they do is they pass it on to somebody else. They pass it on to the government, they pass it on to the family, and they say, you know what, since you have it to give to me, you're willing to give to me, I'm gonna go ahead and take it. And they manipulate the system. They choose to stay where they are so they can continue to get what they have. You know, my mentor always talks about the spider monkey mentality, whereas, you know, in the jungle, the spider monkeys are considered to be some of the fastest animals, but they love candy. And so in order for a hunter to catch a spider monkey, what they do is they get those mason jars and they put candy at the bottom of it. And so the lid on it, they get ones that are small. And so the lid is big enough for the spider monkey to stick their hand in, but when they grab the candy, it's not big enough for them to pull their hand out. And in order for them to get their hand out, they have to let go of the candy. And so this small piece of candy is the difference between them being captive or them being free. And so what happens is with the spider monkey, because they don't want to let go of the candy, they get caught. And they forfeit their open freedom, their big freedom, by holding on to this little bitty piece of candy. And so that's the mentality that happens sometimes with people who have a welfare mentality. You have this small that you want to hold on to that the government is giving you, and you're not going out for more, for bigger, or for better, because you don't want to let go of this little. So what you end up doing, because that little isn't enough, you lie, you cheat, you steal, you manipulate to get more from other people and other places, so that you can have more money coming in without letting go of the welfare. And so you're looking for other people to fix your problems, to fix your challenges, and that's why you keep repeating the same thing over and over again, because the root of the issue isn't resolved. It's just you putting a band-aid on it by doing that. And so number 5 is you close the door on change. When you close the door on change, you basically just turn your back on becoming a better person. Change starts from within out. It starts from the inside, and then you see what happens on the outside. And because change requires a correction to your character, it's a painful process. I remember a time I was listening to a sermon online, and they were talking about going through surgery. And the young lady was talking about how she had surgery on her knee. And so the surgery on her knee, it was painful, but her doctor told her, he said, I can have you up and running in 90 days if you're willing to endure the pain of recovery. And so it was very, very powerful when he said that, because a lot of times what happens is people associate pain with not being healed. And they think because it still hurts, it's not changing. But in actuality, it is changing. It's just the pain of recovery. And so when your character is being corrected, you got to go through that painful process of recovering yourself, healing from the old bad habits and the old bad ways, that those flaws that are in your character that are the tendons to connect you to your goal and your dream, that have snapped, that have broken, that you have to have surgery on now to have corrected and to have fixed. And so that part, it is painful. It hurts very, very much. And so a lot of times what happens with people, instead of enduring that pain of the recovery process, they run from it. They refuse to change. They just choose to stay where they are because it hurts so bad to be different or to do more. So they close the door on changing altogether. Number 6 is you give others the power over the outcome. When you pass the blame on to somebody else, what happens is they have complete control over what happens next. You have just handed them the PIN number to your debit card. And you're telling them, here's my PIN number, here's my debit card, take all my money out my account. I really don't care what happens to my life anymore. You wouldn't do that to a stranger on the street. You wouldn't just give them your PIN code to your debit card because you want to guard and protect your treasures in your bank account. However, you do that when you blame. You pass over the PIN number to the bank card of your life, of your future. And you give them complete and total control and access over what happens in your life. Now, you're wondering why things aren't working out the way that you want them to. Is because you just released the control over to somebody else. And then you have number 7, which is you accuse and you search for an excuse. Now, I talked about this in another video regarding forgiveness, the difference between justification and an excuse. Now, if somebody has done you wrong, you are justified in feeling hurt. Even if you've done the wrong and you and your feelings for the moment, it's okay to feel how you feel in that moment. Nobody can tell you how to feel, okay? However, at some point you have a choice to make, to continue to feel that way and sit in those feelings, or to change and do something different. Now, you can create any kind of reason whatsoever. In this example with my friend, her friend was justified, and so she thought, in saying, well, you have the money to give me anyway, which is true. My friend has a lot of money, so she did have it to give. And so now the friend is saying, well, since you had it to give, it's not bad that I used it for something else. It didn't hurt you. You didn't miss a bill. You didn't miss a payment on anything by giving me that. That was like lunch money to you. So I'm justified in feeling how I'm feeling right now. But the longer you hold on to that justification, the sooner it becomes your excuse. At some point in time, you got to get through those feelings and get out of them so you can get into that recovery process and say, you know what, let me reflect on myself. I know I feel justified for what happened and feeling this way, but I can no longer use this as an excuse. It becomes an excuse when you use it over and over again to keep doing the same things, okay? So you got to be aware of making sure that when you accuse somebody, you understand that what you're really searching for is an excuse. And number 8 is you become stagnant and trapped. You become trapped. You know how it is when you get like a mouse trap in a house or a bear trap in the woods. You can't move. You know you're trapped. You know you're stuck and you can't go anywhere. When you think about stagnation, the truth of the matter is nothing is ever stagnant. It's either growing or dying. And so when you blame someone, you step into that phase right there of stagnation, where eventually you have a decision to make to get out of it so you can grow, or to stay there and die where you are. Maybe not die in the physical, but mentally emotionally. Your spirit man dies because you're deflated at that point. And because you're giving somebody else complete and total control, and you won't accept your own responsibility over what it is that you've done. So those are the things right there I want you to think about when it comes to blame. Blame actually started at the creation of everything, at the creation of life with Adam and Eve. In Genesis, those of you who are familiar with the book of Genesis, you have Adam and Eve, they're a couple, and God told them, do not eat from the fruit of the tree of life. Don't do that. Whatever you do, don't do that. Now, he gave those instructions of not to do that to Adam. So Eve was out in the garden doing her thing. She came across the tree. The serpent came up, told her, go ahead and eat from it. And she's like, well, God said, no, don't worry about that. Go ahead and eat from it. He just don't want you to know what's getting ready to happen. So she eats from it. She gets Adam to eat from it, and boom, the rest is history, right? And so when God comes back like, Adam, where are you? Now, God is omnipresent. He knows, he's everywhere at all times. And he's omniscient. He knows everything. And so when he asked Adam, where are you? It wasn't that he didn't know his location. He wanted to know where he was with him. At one point you was with me, but something has changed and you're not with me anymore. I need you to tell me what happened. And so when he found out that Adam and Eve ate from the tree, God was like, I told you not to do that. You did it anyway. And what Adam did, instead of accepting responsibility, he went ahead and said, the woman you gave me did this. He just passed the blame on over to Eve. And Eve was like, well, the serpent told me. And so it goes back to Adam. God was like, but I told you, don't do it. You're the head. You're supposed to make sure she stays in alignment with what I've told you to do. That's the order. Me, man, then wife, then the kids. And so, that's the first inkling of blaming somebody for something. And in this case, Adam was blaming Eve for what happened. Also later on in the Bible, the story of Job as well. Job lost everything. God took everything from him as a test to show the devil that Job loves God more than the devil and the things that he's given him. And so at some point during the story, Job's wife told him, you still believe in God, and he did all this to you. You need to curse God and die. And then Job started to blame himself later on. He's like, man, I caused this to myself. What did I do to deserve this? I'm not good enough. I'm weak. I'm this and I'm that. And so if you're not careful, folks, blame can creep up very, very subtle, but then becomes very stable in your mind and in your heart. We are all afforded the same 24 hours in a day. If you live in America, it's the only country that has the word dream associated with it. The American dream. We are free to walk around, come and go as we please, do what we want to do. At some point in time, you have to take control and responsibility over your own life. Nobody's going to get up in the morning to go work your job for you. Nobody's going to work your dream for you. Nobody's going to execute your vision for you. Now, God will send people to you to assist you along the way, but everything begins when you do. You have to start first and do something. When things are up, whether things are down, you have to take responsibility for that. My husband teaches a lot to people. He says, no matter where you are in life, you make the appointment to be there. And you're born looking like your parents, but you die looking like your choices. Because we are all born into the same place, given the same opportunities every single day. The difference is the choices that we make along the way that determine where we are right now. So if you're in a situation whereas you're frustrated, you feel stagnant, you feel like, the world is against you and, somebody did you wrong and it's their fault that you're in that situation, you really need to reflect and look in the mirror and be honest with yourself about where you are. In order to get to where you want to go, you got to first be aware of where you are and stop blaming other people. Now, it doesn't mean if they did you wrong that you can't feel the way that you do. You are justified for feeling hurt, sad, resentment. You're justified for those feelings. You can feel however you choose to. But at some point, you have to use those feelings to be your fuel. They can either be your tombstone or your stepping stone. My recommendation is that you use them for a stepping stone, accept responsibility, stop blaming, and then move forward to where it is that you want to go. Because the biggest hinderer to your success isn't the people around you. It's not the people that's going to come in contact with you. It's you. It's you. The Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So make sure your heart is right, so that as those things come up, you're not blaming other people, you're accepting responsibility. You can keep the main thing, and get that goal accomplished. This has been the Lady Wilkins Wisdom Tip for today. Hopefully it's been a blessing for you. If so, please share with somebody else, and I'll see you guys on the next clip.